Moments after birth, a newborn locks eyes with its mother, marking the beginning of a lifelong social bond. This early sensitivity to faces plays a crucial role in how infants recognise caregivers, interpret emotions, and navigate the social world. But what if this ability begins before birth? Scientists have long wondered when humans first recognise faces, with research demonstrating that newborns pay more attention to face-like patterns, suggesting biological preparedness for social interaction. Because most research has focused on postnatal development, the timing of this ability's emergence has remained unclear. Understanding this is vital to understanding how the human brain becomes specialised for social interaction and processing.
A 2025 study published in Developmental Science by Irene Ronga and colleagues set out to address this gap by investigating whether a facial preference exists before birth and how this relates to prenatal brain development. Using light projected through the mother's abdomen, researchers presented 34 fetuses with face-like and non-face-like configurations, as seen here. These were presented horizontally across the fetus's field of view to encourage visual tracking, which is the fetus's tendency to make eye lens movements to follow a moving stimulus. These movements were measured using ultrasounds, reflecting where the fetus was directing its gaze and thus what it was attending to. Greater eye lens movements for a configuration indicated a preference for that configuration. Fetuses at 26, 31, and 37 weeks were tested, with each configuration presented multiple times in a random order. In addition, the development of their thalamic nuclei, a brain structure involved in early visual processing, was assessed. Together, these determine when facial preference emerges and how this connects to brain development. All fetuses showed a clear preference for face-like configurations, demonstrated by increased eye lens movements towards these stimuli. Importantly, this preference was especially evident at 26 weeks, indicating that sensitivity to face-like patterns may emerge at the beginning of the third trimester rather than after birth, although whether it emerges even earlier remains unexplored. Eye lens movements also increased with gestational age, reflecting ongoing maturation of the visual system. Interestingly, at 26 weeks, fetuses with larger, more developed thalamic nuclei showed stronger preferences for face-like stimuli. Ronga and colleagues suggested that thalamic nuclei may be particularly important for visual processing when other visual mechanisms are still undeveloped, although larger samples are needed to confirm this.
Together, these findings contribute to an ongoing scientific conversation. Showing a prenatal preference for face-like stimuli supports a biological basis for social perception, with foundations for later social skills already forming in the womb. This reflects that our ability to recognise and respond to faces is not solely shaped by social experience. Results also provide a foundation for future research, linking prenatal development to later social behaviour. This may help identify what constitutes atypical development, informing early support strategies for social developmental conditions like autism spectrum disorder. In a technologically driven society, showing that a sensitivity to faces begins before birth also highlights how fundamental face-to-face interaction is for development, as it aligns with how the brain is prepared to interact.